your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from the Double T Sports Network.
What an unbelievable weekend in Lubbock. A big week ahead for Texas Tech basketball. Looking ahead to Big 12 title potential for Red Raider football. A whole lot of questions to get to coming up in this week's episode of Ask Level. The Ask Level podcast, as usual, brought to you by our friends at Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This is Mike Hebert, the proud owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. We've been serving West Texas for all of your residential and commercial construction needs for the past 9 years. We would love the opportunity to earn your business. Together, we are one serving you.
Alongside Chris Level, I'm Chois Woodman. Level, it's hard to put into words what it was like this weekend for Texas Tech, for the university, for everything involved. You had game day, you had everything going on, and the game itself, which was very important, lived up to the hype surrounding it. So that was an awesome weekend, and Texas Tech continues to roll in this magical season so far.
Woodman, yeah, this is what we all wanted, man. Yeah, I mean, this has been, and you haven't accomplished really any goal yet, but you've certainly put yourself. I mean, I think if I say to you, back in August, you're 10-1 after. Or excuse me, 9-1 after 10 games. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. And we can't do that. We cannot do that. No ahead of yourself. 1-0 each week.
That's right.
So shame on me. Yeah, 9-1 after 10 games. I think everybody would likely have taken that.
Yes.
And you are in full control your own destiny mode and really in a better spot than anybody else in the league. Again, that doesn't guarantee you anything, and you've not clinched a spot in Arlington yet. You are going to continue to play must-win football, but this weekend is kind of what it all pointed to because the fact that you had lost at Arizona State.
Yeah.
You could. I don't know if anybody would say this, but it's not. BYU probably deep down didn't probably have the sense of urgency that you did, just because they could have. I mean, not that they would have like, let's go ahead and use our mulligan here.
Right.
But there's just something about like when you kind of get in a spot where like you have to have it, and Texas Tech didn't necessarily, but they kind of did. You would have been looking at all kinds of scenarios and hoping for this and hoping for that, and really leaning on a variety of different teams and results had you dropped that one on Saturday. But this is a game, as we all know, this game could have been 45-7 as easily as it was 29-7. You just leaned on these guys. They really had no answer for your defense. I mean, they ran 9 plays on your side of the field. 9. Crazy. I think your plays on their side of the field were in the 40s. So this was one of those, and people will see the score. It's a 22-point win. But if the committee watched it, and I'm guessing they probably did because these are 2 top 10 teams in their rankings.
I would hope they did.
Yeah, I know. Then they probably, depending on how they view it, probably go, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. But this was a dominating win, and it really was. You never, I think I said, you kind of had this weird feeling in the middle of the game. You had left a lot out there. You didn't have anything to show for it after that last drive of the half. And then you come out of the locker room and you go, you don't do anything with the ball, and you're sitting there, and this is like one touchdown away, one busted play away from being a 6-point game. But when you're sitting there with like at the end of the third quarter and it's 19-0. I mean, again, speaking of stuff we all would have taken, you would have taken that and run.
Yes.
And so I just think your defense deserves a lot of credit. Your field goal kicker deserves a lot of credit. I got to get these wide receivers to catch the ball. You got to get Barron to throw the ball away on occasion. And but it was just it was a beautiful weekend, man. It really was. And I'm so thrilled for everybody that got to sink their teeth into it and enjoy it. And you deserved it. Everybody out there that listens to these and has been a fan for the Red Raiders. I mean, you just you deserved a weekend like this because sometimes this environment or all that was going on can be a bit too much,
Sure.
and you worried about that.
Yep.
We all worried and wondered aloud about that. I asked Joey in his show, in his pregame interview, after the game. I mean, it's just like you're just keep because we've all seen it before. But in these two previous biggest games that you've had, and I guess the Colorado game was a lot last year, and you didn't perform. But that one wasn't quite as big as this one, obviously. But you just you answered the bell, man, and but more work to be done.
Still more work to be done, no
Oh
doubt.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I I'm so glad, like what you said. I'm so glad for Tech fans in general. I'm thrilled that I got to that my kids got to experience the fun things that I got to experience growing up. I'm like it just so many good feelings come out. But like you said, Coach McGuire had to answer that question over and over this week, and I think he really had to answer it for himself. We heard him say that he's got to do the same thing that he's telling the players, and that's to make it about the football. But I think we saw once again how truly mature this group of players is because they
Well,
were able to turn the switch on and make it about the football when it was time.
yeah, your defense is just. I mean,
Yes.
this is an obvious, but your defense is just really good. I said as much on the broadcast. I'm like, I think I'd kick it here at
Yeah.
the end of the half, right? And it would have given you a 16-point lead. Still a two-score game, but it requires a
Right.
couple touchdowns and two two-point conversions, so they got to make four plays. And I was just fearful of giving up momentum
Hmm.
because BYU was celebrating and they run in the locker room and you've kind of, you because you were going for the throat. And I certainly get that too.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, oh, your defense is playing so well, just take the points. And yet, maybe I'm the one that was thinking about it wrong. Joey knows what he's got on defense, and maybe that's exactly why he's like, we're going for it. Like we're going to try to squeeze them right now, because, and if we don't get it, I'm not going to stress because our defense is so good. So we're just so trained around here
Yes.
to think about the offense needing to carry the day and the offense having to put up 35 plus or you're
Yep.
not going to have a chance, and yet that's just not what we're dealing with right in front of us.
Not even
And
close.
it's
Yeah.
just my brain is having a hard time comprehending that. It just is.
Yeah, I get it, man.
Years and years and years of thinking about it in a certain way, and yet it's changing in front of our eyes right now.
Yeah. We Lubbockites, Red Raider fans, have been conditioned to offense for a quarter of a century. So it is, it takes some conditioning to change the mindset on it. And
Yeah.
10 games have shown us that this defense is the metrics back it up, everything, the eye test. This defense is legitimately w making you a national title contender. Now,
Yeah,
you've
I
got work
mean,
to do, but this defense is good enough to have you in those conversations.
you have some special, like, you are going to remember the names on this defense for years to come, like
Hmm.
you remember the rotation for the basketball team in 2019.
Right.
When you can name every starter, the other three guys coming off the bench,
Yep.
like you committed it to memory because they were different than anything that had come before them. And that's what this defense, that's what you're going to do here, because it is. It is better than anybody would have thought. And you just have to credit your personnel department, your staff, your analytical folks, the folks that stepped up, like Cody and John and Dusty and Gary Peterson and all of those folks that allowed this to happen because it's just better than we would have thought. I mean, we were shame on us, but we were sitting there. I mean, it's like you knew it was going to be much better, but is it like, could it be? I mean, we talked about this last week. Could it be top 50? Could it be top 25?
Oh
Like
yeah.
you, if you squint, could it be the best in the Big 12? It's one of the best in the country, period. Nobody's going to dispute that. I mean, yes, Ohio State is really good, and there's some other groups, but
Yeah.
this has been fun. I mean, you held a team that was running for 16 yards a game to like what was it, 64 yards total rushing,
60,
67 yards, something
67
like
yards, I
yeah,
believe. Yeah.
67 yards rushing. I mean, they had no answer. L.J. Martin, because this is also what you're seeing.
Hmm.
Once teams get through their initial, this is the same thing last week in Manhattan, Kansas.
Sure.
You see a little misdirection and a little Avery Johnson this, and you see a little LJ Martin this, and then you adjust and settle in, and it's like they don't have an answer,
That's it.
large in part, and they start having to do things that they don't want to, or you just make it so hard for them, they start having to take chances, and then the turnover machine just starts rolling, and that's what happened Saturday.
Yeah. This game level. Obviously, you seriously take care of business in this game, and you win it by 22, which is a new smallest margin of victory for Texas Tech. That stat is crazy. 22 is your smallest margin of victory this season. Um, but you take care of business, and like you said, it could have been bigger. But what I think one of the big takeaways from the weekend as a whole is how great Lubbock and Texas Tech come out of this from
Mhm.
so many people that haven't been here or haven't been here in 17 years. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve talking about it for 15 minutes. You hear all these snapback people, obviously the game day people, Pat McAfee, everybody just glowing about Texas Tech. And this weekend, and because you won the football game as well, will pay dividends for Texas Tech for a really long time.
You just have somebody that's in charge of this entire operation
Hmm.
that just doesn't miss a beat, man.
Yep.
Um, it is amazing what that man, and I'm talking about your head coach,
Yeah.
the small things, the constant positivity and energy, the constant because there's so many things that people don't know that he did last week under the
Yes.
radar on hitting the right notes with certain visitors and certain
Hmm.
guests. And I don't know how he compartmentalizes. I struggle this time of year when basketball and football start
Yeah.
happening on top of each other. But it's just amazing. Like little stuff like him wearing the Texas High School Coaches Association hat on
Right.
Pat McAfee. I
Right.
mean, who's thinking about that at that particular time? Well, he is. But that's just one of many things that I just it's worth mentioning. And I don't know, man. He's the cog in the wheel that has made this whole thing go. And people they want to be a part of it. They want to invest. They
Hmm.
want to help this thing get over the hump and then stay there. And he just hasn't gotten enough credit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he is the biggest reason why it all kind of came off. But I will say this: I thought the Texas Tech folks hit every right note.
Yes, they do.
As many things that they were all dealing with, and all the logistics, a logistical nightmare, if we're being honest, of rolling out the red carpet, about being accommodating. But like having Grant McCaslin speaking on
Yes.
the mic before the game, make it about us. Don't say this thing about BYU and all that stuff. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just thought it was a well-oiled machine. I thought everybody should take a bow. And I can't wait to be back in that stadium on Saturday, man. And I will tell you this: It might not be your last home game.
Mm,
It might not.
you're
We'll
speaking my
see.
language level,
Yeah, it might not.
man.
A lot left to go, but that's where you're at right now, and it's just. But again, I've tried to say this to people: just appreciate it, enjoy it, pinch yourself, whatever you need to do, because these are fun when you're a part of these runs. And again, you've accomplished nothing yet. The goal is not was not to beat BYU. I think that's also, you mentioned the maturity. I mean, Joey said that to everybody that would listen. First person he sees when he gets in the locker room is Jacob Rodriguez. He's like, 1-0. That game doesn't mean anything now. On to the next. And that's what you're dealing with here. It's a special group of people that are seeking more and they're hungry and they leaned into all this. And it's just, it's been a lot of fun.
Speaking of Jacob Rodriguez, we'll get to him in a moment. But yeah, I couldn't. I echo everything you said there. It was a lot of fun. I think, as crazy as it may sound to some, that what you just said, it might not be your last home game. That's that's kind of the expectation at this point, right? Because you are going to be favored in your next three games.
Yeah, I mean,
I know
I
what.
just can't go there yet. I think if you once you clinch a spot to Arlington, I think I'm ready to have that conversation now. But
Okay.
and what you're hoping is because I mean, Woodman, I mean, you've got a quarterback that's limping around right now.
I hear you.
You've got. I'm just going to tell you about UCF. People are going to look. They're 1-5 in their last six. If one of their defensive ends that got knocked out of the game last week, if he plays. It's number 9 and number 51 for
Hmm.
for UCF. This is the best edge duo you will have seen all season. And people are going to be like, "What?" Yes. 10 sacks, 17 and a half tackles for loss between the two. They've got athletes. This is kind of a Lee Hunter game, right?
Hmm.
As he
Oh
gets
yeah.
to play his old team. So you just have to stay in the moment and all those things. And then you just don't know what the weather's going to be like in Morgantown. And I'm not trying to be like, you still have meat left on the bone here. And
Sure you
yes,
do.
you're going to be favored and all those things. I certainly understand that, but you're just not guaranteed anything yet at all. And
Yep.
so you still got to keep chopping wood, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Someone did ask, Level, what do you expect the college football playoff ranking to be on Tuesday night?
Well, you will move up. Now, do you move up to 7 or do you move up to 6? Because if you could trade places with BYU, now they'll drop a few spots. I don't know how much. I think we'll learn more about how the committee views the Big 12.
Yep.
Because they didn't punish you for your loss in Tempe with your backup quarterback a ton, and they said as much. That's why I'm pointing that out. And so maybe did they not punish BYU for playing a road game and maybe they get credit for their red zone defense and keeping it a 22-point game. I don't know. But the question really is, do you move ahead of Ole Miss who beat the Citadel? I mean, that's really that
Level,
that's
I'll tell
really
you, if the
yeah.
roles were reversed, you absolutely, Ole Miss would move ahead of you.
Yeah.
If they beat a number seven
Probably.
team
Yeah. Yeah,
and you
probably.
played you had a rolling
Well,
bye week like they
But
did.
the AP poll
Oh,
didn't do what I'm suggesting, but that
correct.
also doesn't matter
Yeah.
because I think of the bias and those kinds of things. So we shall see.
Yep.
This is the point though where you wish you may not need it, but boy, in this kind of year, it would have been nice to have something on your non-conference schedule to
Sure.
point to
Sure.
that people would go, but they also did, and you
Correct.
just don't have anything to speak of there at all. Um, and again, right now it doesn't really matter, but in terms of seating and all that, but I can't complain. I'm just saying when we knew this at the time,
Yep.
you were going to have to go handle your business in your conference race because you weren't going to have anything on your non-conference schedule to speak of.
We got a question from
You know
Sam.
what's crazy? Well, hold on, real quick.
Okay.
You know what's crazy is you play North Texas don't know if it's next year, but it's the year after, I think. Is that right?
2 years, I believe, there.
Okay. Imagine if, and you played them last year.
Mhm.
Imagine if you had a win over those guys this year.
I know.
I
It's
mean,
just it's
seriously,
the way things fall. Yeah,
I know, but isn't that wild?
it is. It is.
Because that would be a pretty nice little feather in your cap.
Yeah, and we don't even know if Eric Morris is going to be there when you play them next time, and if they're going to be good. And it's
And
just
odds are he won't be.
probably not. Yeah. This question from Sam. It says, "Did JRod play himself into New York on Saturday?"
Well, that's certainly becoming the chatter. I think the Mendoza kid that you ironically played in a bowl game a couple years ago when he was playing for Cal
Right.
is probably the front runner right now. And I don't know if at the end of the day, if Jacob can ultimately win this thing, it's going to take more of these forced fumbles, more of these interceptions, maybe a pick, something like
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
And you're not going to have a big spotlight. He did do himself a lot of favors in that he showed up big time in a game that had a heavy spotlight. So, I absolutely think he can. I mean, hand him the Butkus Award right now.
Yes.
I mean that's his to take home and do with what he wants to. He's also going to get the is it the Burlsworth Trophy? I think
Which one's
which is
that?
given to the best previous walk-on.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I
I
mean,
mean, heck, Lombardi's right there too for best
yeah,
defensive player overall. Yeah.
I mean, but I think that he picked a really good time to play really well, and he has been playing well,
Yeah.
but he's like he had a lot of eyes on him this one, and it just of course he intercepts it, and of course he's the one that picks up the fumble. I mean, yeah, just
Yeah.
of course. Who else would be doing this? He can get to New York though. I mean, I didn't want to think that 2 or 3 weeks ago, just because. But you go look at some of the guys that have actually made
Oh, yeah.
the trip up there. His numbers are better than Manti Taum and Ndamukong Suh. You kind of had a dual, a player last year that was a two-way guy, and Travis Hunter that ended up winning it. But it also speaks to just the kind of year everybody's having.
Hmm.
And and I don't know if I don't know what they'll say, but if anybody's watching this stuff, I mean, he's arguably the best player on the best unit in college football, or certainly one of, which is kind of what you want to say about Mendoza and Indiana.
Yeah.
So if you can't have one without the other, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Sticking with defense, this one comes from our YouTube comments. This is from Atomic Ski Stuntsman. If Tim DeRuyter was coaching this team, do you think we get the same results?
Well, impossible to say. I don't. Tim's okay, and I know this is a Tim can coach some really good defense now, and he did as much
Hmm.
at A&M, at Oregon. He had high level players, which speaks to kind of where I mean Von Miller and I'm trying to remember.
Thibodeau.
Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah.
I mean Tyree Wilson.
Hmm.
Um, he was able to put guys in really good spots and make them better. Tim's system though is complex, and I would have been because what Shield came in was like, I don't really need to do a lot here. We need to focus on the details, keep it simple, and he's gotten a bit exotic in his own way, lining Height and Bailey up
Hmm.
and doing some different things where they drop in coverage and you do some different things, but
Which definitely seemed to confuse Bear Bachmeyer at times
yes,
this
it did.
weekend.
Yes, it did, and that's what you want to do to a freshman quarterback.
Yep.
Okay, you start seeing ghosts, and they're simulated pressures. That's what really uh, Tim's system was largely based on.
Hmm.
You just never knew what was coming from. And again, Tim's a good coach, but I think that he probably would have done what he's always done and installed his pretty complex system. And these kids probably could have handled it, but
Yeah.
I think the beauty of what you're doing now is it's pretty simple. And I credit Shield Wood for putting his ego aside and not trying to overcoach these guys. But like I go back to the beginning of the deal, like think about how you've been hit a bit early in games and then it just stops because your ability to adjust and figure out, okay, this is what they're doing, this is what they're going to try to hit us with, and then it just like you get it stopped, and then you're looking over there, go, okay, what else you got? And they just don't have an answer. So I doubt that, but I'd also want people to understand that Tim was a good coach too. It just didn't work here. You had a very young group last year, an inexperienced group that couldn't handle the the system, and they talked about their depth, but it wasn't really experienced depth, and
Yeah.
and you were younger. But this is just a different animal here. But I just so there you go.
Yep. All right. This one, Level, you may hate this question, but what seed could we realistically get if Texas Tech were to win their next three
if
games?
if you win your next three games, you could end up having a first round bye, which would eliminate the opportunity to have a home playoff game. I mean, that is very real, and then that's going to come down to what it looks like if you do that, and then what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So it's it's close. You can kind of taste it, or you can smell it in the oven, but you're just not there yet. I want to taste that pie that's baking in the oven, but man, it's
Yeah.
that it's just not quite done yet. So you're gonna have to wait to see kind of where it's at. The next step here is at what point can you clinch a spot in Arlington to where you're guaranteed to be there, and you're not there yet. A win over UCF would do a lot of good because there's some results that'll play out this weekend, and then you're going to sit at home and watch everybody else stress out the following weekend, which includes during your bye week includes that Cincinnati BYU game, which is going to turn out to be just a massive game in the league and certainly nationally. I think BYU's got a tricky game against TCU this weekend, which they're uh barely a favorite in.
Hmm.
Um, Utah's got a game in Waco this weekend. They are favored in it. Cincinnati's also got a tricky trip on Thanksgiving weekend going to Fort Worth. I mean, TCU could be a bit of a fly in the ointment here that could alter it. But there are six teams that still have a chance to get to Arlington.
Yeah.
If you have three conference losses, you're out. Okay. You're mathematically eliminated. And TCU eliminated over the weekend because they blew it against Iowa State there in Fort Worth. But it's Texas Tech, it's BYU, it's Cincinnati, it's Utah, it's Arizona State, and it's Houston. Those are the possibles left, and everybody wants to look at it on paper, other than the BYU Cincinnati game, and assume everybody will just win out. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not what's going to happen. You just don't need to be a part of that conversation.
Sure.
You just don't need to be a part of that conversation because weird stuff happens at the end of these years
Exactly.
every single season.
Yep. Got to take care of what's in front of you for sure. That the
Yeah.
second part of that question, this one was from Tyler. It said, "What would your prediction be if Tech wins out
Well, again,
on a seed?"
yeah, it's impossible. I mean, because I don't know what else you're dealing with. So many SEC scenarios and so many Big Ten scenarios and margins of victory and potential injuries. I mean, I have a hard time thinking you would be anything higher than a three, just because I think the Big Ten and the SEC champ, especially if it's would whether it's Bama or Georgia or whoever it is or Indiana or Ohio State, I just have a hard time thinking you would be above them, and I would have no problem with that. But I don't think you'd be any higher than three. But yeah, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. Just beat UCF, man. Just beat UCF.
Oh man.
And
Makes
and I
sense.
and I do love the question from the standpoint of it's fun to think about, talk about, but you're just not there yet, you know.
All right, a couple more questions. Let's shift over to basketball. You got a huge game this weekend, love, or this week, pardon me. Level is you're, I mean, as we're recording this, you're about to take off and head to Illinois, and we're not used to these big of games early in the season, at least in recent history. You got a few of them on the schedule this year, but you also have a really good team. So I'll let you give us a little bit of a preview of Illinois before that game's played.
Well, to give you some context, this is the first true non-conference road game in a couple of years. The last one of these was at Butler a few years ago.
Yes.
It was I think like November the 30th or something. Football season was largely over by that point. It's the first time you've played anybody ranked in the non-conference game on the road since Arizona back in 2013 when Coach Smith was here, and that was in early December. You weren't ranked, but they were. They were, I think, number 2 in the country at the time, and it didn't go well that night. And then in old Tucson.
Yeah.
Look, you don't know a lot about both teams other than they're both likely going to be very, very good. I
Hmm.
mean, Illinois is just hammered both their two games. They've scored 113 points in both games. They have barely turned it over. I mean, they played the other night against Gulf Coast. They scored 113 points. They turned it over twice. And this is a long team. This is a deep team. They've got a 7-footer that shoots threes.
Yeah.
You're going to have your hands full. What worries me about Tech right now is that you're just not in peak form. And granted, you're not supposed to be, but they have got all their players and everything, and they've had them all. You are working your way back in. I mean, Lawan Watts and JT Toppin have one game under their belt. They're coming back, but you just haven't had a lot of practice with what you think your team will be. I don't know if Luke Bamboye will play in this game, and boy, would you need him in this one.
Yeah.
Because the questions you have to ask yourself are, can you keep him out of the paint? Because you couldn't with Sam Houston for the bulk of the night on Friday night, the night before the BYU game. You had a really hard time keeping them out of the paint, and you ended up pulling away. But it's going to require like Christian and JT and some of your guys to play really, really well.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a bit different for your Atwells and your Bryans and your Wattses because this is going to, I would anticipate the State Farm Center to be sold out. Um, the fun part about this game, though, is that you go into it, even though you're going to be higher ranked,
Yeah.
is that the pressure's on Illinois to hold serve, and you're not going to get punished for this if it doesn't go well for you,
Sure.
because you're playing a true road game here. But if you win it,
You get
you
credit.
know, or yeah, I mean, it is speaking of feathers in your cap, it's a nice one to go get.
Yes.
But I would be lying if I told you I wasn't a bit worried about it,
Sure.
just because of your injury situation and just your. I mean, Grant has said it repeatedly. We haven't just had time to practice with our people. Been missing one or two or three guys for the last month, and so we just don't have a lot of continuity. And where that really shows up is your ability to defend as a team. Some break, and you're leaning on a couple of young kids, Nolan Groves and Jalen Petty. They're going to be really good players, and they have shown you some flashes, but it's a lot to ask of them in an environment like this is expected to be. But you're going to need Christian, JT, and Lawan and Atwell to keep hitting shots, and we will see what we get.
All right. This question ties into one that you kind of mentioned there. This is from Miles. It says, how concerned should we be with the slow start against Sam Houston since we're playing Illinois so quick?
Well, I mean, yeah, but this is what I'm speaking of. It's just like you don't have a lot of continuity, and I think Sam Houston athletically, they were picked like ninth in their league because they basically had to replace like 96% of their scoring. So teams are just like, I don't have any idea what this team is. I'm going to base how I'm picking them on who's returning for these teams.
Yeah.
Kind of like you got a lot of credit for Christian and JT returning, and then you build around that. but athletically, Sam Houston's a problem, and that again, your ability to keep guys out of the paint and rebound is going to. I mean, Illinois' rebounding margin in these games, these first two games, they're like a plus 30 or something.
Yeah.
They're just crushing teams on, and again, they've played a couple of nobodies, kind of like you have, from the standpoint of what you're. I'm not, and again, here I'm complimenting Sam Houston, and I do think they're going to be good, but this isn't. You're not playing at Texas Tech to try to judge yourself against Sam Houston.
Right.
They were a major step up compared to Lindenwood, but Illinois is beating Gulf Coast, and so yeah, I think there's some concern there, but it's a process. The one thing I would tell you is, and I'm probably going to mention this on the broadcast when we were in Illinois, University of Houston started out their season last year 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped 3 of their first 7. Nobody freaked out, and they played for a national championship. So it is a long season. I mean, the bracket doesn't come out for another, 4 months?
Yeah. It's a long time.
But again, this is kind of a free spin of the wheel here, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah, no doubt. So a big one, but not necessarily a huge one on Tuesday night with the Red Raiders.
Yeah, it's a huge one, and it's going to get some national attention.
I guess I'm saying like it's got potential to be big for you in the long run, but like you said, the risk reward there of playing this game, it's not going to knock you if you don't go win it. It's not panic time or anything close to it.
No. And the fun thing is, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun when we're sitting here a year from now talking about Illinois playing at the USA, and
Absolutely.
we'll be saying the same stuff. The pressure is on you.
Sign me up.
You need to hold certain, I mean, all that kind of stuff, and your team could look a lot different. Next
I
year.
would guess it does.
Yeah,
Quite a
that's
bit
right. That's
different.
right.
Yeah. Well, fun week, Level, man. It's so much fun to have fun, and that was quite
and I hope that it's not realistic to think it'll be the same. I certainly understand that, but man, you have a variety of players that are going to go through senior day. It should be beautiful weather again.
Yep.
This is a team that deserves that place to be a madhouse again. These are unprecedented times. These are extremely important games. Don't look at UCF's record. Show up to root for your guys and use those tickets. Be there early and give this place the juice. Don't just roll the red carpet out, put your best foot forward, and then and then go back and hide in the closet. Because this whole thing is again still more work to be done because I want to sit there on Saturday night and watch everybody else stress out when you're 10-1,
right?
Which I got ahead of myself at the beginning of the show, but that's what I'm focused on. 10-1.
10-1. Get to 10-1.
I mean, think about that. Think about that.
Oh,
a 10-1 Texas Tech team with a bye week, and you can and you can you start watching everybody else knock each other off, and again, rare air, man.
Cloud 9 for sure. Level, great stuff as usual. We'll talk to you again next week.
And man, appreciate it, Woodman. Keep hope alive. We'll hope to see everybody at the arena on Friday night and at the stadium on Saturday, and away we go.
That's Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. You've been tuned into the Ask Level podcast powered by the Double T Sports Network.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by the Double T Sports Network. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more great content from all of our shows on the Double T Sports Network.